Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshai Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatadini Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna and welcome all the devotees to the ISKCON Sadachar classes from ISKCON Mangalore. So last week we covered Lord Balaram, right, as an incarnation. So this week we'll try to finish this Dasa Avatar. So the next two, right, so are Lord Buddha's incarnation and Kalki. Yeah? So this we'll try to cover in today's class. Yeah. Suppose that Mataji, I need your help if you can do a survey, because we can even continue this Sadachar classes with the interest of Matajis and Prabhujis, because there are a couple of Srimad Bhagavatam verses, say from Canto 1 and all, right? So like Kuntu Maharani's prayers and all. So if at all, if devotees are interested, right? So we will continue. If not, then we'll end here. Yeah.
Sure, Prabhuji. I will roll out a survey accordingly.
Yeah. So next 2 weeks I'll not be there, Mataji. So you can roll out, and then if we get a positive response, then okay. So once I'll be back, I'll inform you, and then we can get started. Yeah?
Sure, Prabhuji. Will do. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji and Mataji, today we'll look at Lord Buddha as an incarnation. Okay. So actually, in this incarnation, right? So the Lord appeared because there was this is basically for the atheists. Yeah. So this Buddha avatar, right? So usually what happens is I'll tell you with a simple example, right? So if at all in our family also, right? So when we were kids or so, right? So what used to happen is if there are a brother and sister or whatever it is, right? Or in between brothers, usually the children's fight, right? So for one thing or the other. And then at times what happens is the father comes and then says, both of them go into 2 rooms and pick your books. So, right. And so in that way, right, for few days, at least for few couple of minutes, right. So they both will not speak to each other, right. And then later on, they are all one and the same, right. The story is same. So this is also the same thing. Yeah. So this is Buddha actually came in to actually deviate, right, the people, because the people were atheists, yeah, and then they were very materialistic, right? And then at that time, right? So at the place and circumstance, right? So this was the best thing to do, which Lord Buddha did it, right? But this is not the ideal thing which we should follow in. Okay, so Prabhupada has mentioned even in our NOD also, in Nectar of Devotion also. So it has been mentioned that we should not, we need not follow this, yeah, because at that point in time, right, this is what something was required. So which Lord Buddha did, right? So wherein, so all the society, right? So with the flowery language of the Vedas, right? So they were inspired, and then for everything, right? So they were using flesh, meat. So killing of animals was very prominent in that age and time, right? So because this has to be stopped, right? So the animal killing, so the meat eating was like on the peak. Okay, and then most of them were atheists. Yeah. So what happened is Lord Buddha's incarnation came in. So wherein he said that we'll not, because that all they were actually bringing from Vedas. They were linking that somewhere in the Vedas it has been written that animal killing is allowed. So that's the reason they were giving all those things. Yeah. So even the society was like that. So what Lord Buddha said that, so in our in his incarnation, right? So he'll not believe in Vedas. So nothing to do with Vedas. Okay. And then he preached all common sense only. So right, he didn't say that he didn't give any uh, say spiritual, say like the Vedas, or say he didn't teach them all those things. Though it was an incarnation of the Lord, right? At that point in time, right? Even if he teaches, right, people were not ready to accept it. So the circumstances were very different. The first thing was this wrongdoing, right? So the killing of animals, or actually giving pain to the other living entity, right? So all these things has to be stopped. Okay. So he taught what he said, ahimsa, right? So that was the main gist, right? So wherein he said that we shouldn't harm other animals or living beings, right? Because the actions are equally harmful to us also, right? So who harms the other animals, right? So it's not for pleasure giving, right? It's a painful thing, right? So he was saying, so he taught about non-violence, right? And then actually to become non-violence, right? So there are things like you should be humble, right? So all these qualities should be coming in, right? So the cultured thing, right? And then these are basically the moral instructions which he gave in. Yeah? So it was more on the moral instruction. Yeah. So and it's called upadharma also, right? So it's a sub-religious principle. So whatever he said, he told, right? So that was the thing which he was actually giving to the society. Yeah. So and then nirvana and all these things came in, right? So basically, I'm just giving you the gist, and then we'll go through the deck. Yeah. So and the same stuff, right? So for this killing of those animals, right? So this was even being discussed. Okay. So in the Vedas, it is mentioned that you can do a sacrifice, but it was the yugas were different. Okay. Not in this yuga. So in this yuga, right? Neither the cow sacrifice nor the horse sacrifice. We are not suitable, right? Even if you have read Bhagavad Gita, right? In that also, Prabhupada clearly mentions that for this age, right? So neither we have the learned Brahmanas who can perform that rituals, nor there is so much of manpower or money to do them. Yeah? So in this age, in this day and age, we don't have those facilities also, right? So if anyone wants to do perform also, right? So they can't, because we first thing is we don't have time, and the other thing is we don't have learned scholars. Okay. And in the previous yugas, right? So they used to do it, but so they used to pick an old cow or so, right? And then they used to actually transmigrate that cow, right, into another living entity, right? So they used to give an higher um, position, or say they used to so give a better opportunity to the cow during the end of its days. Yeah. So it was not like slaughtering. So it was all with the power of mantras, right? So they used to liberate the cow. So that's not, but what people picked up is it's all killing of animals. Yeah. So this particular thing was even discussed between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chand Kaji, right? So and the Navadip, right? So in Navadip in Bengal, so there was an agitation which happened, right? So wherein actually Chand Kaji had broken the mridanga, right? Saying that nobody should do Harinam and all, right? And then on that night, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu led uh, about the devotees, right? So with lanterns, right? Uh, he actually marched towards Chand Kazi, right? And then Chand Kazi was terrified, right? So looking at the following of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So there were so many devotees who came, and then they were ready to kill Chand Kazi, yeah. And then everyone was giving the slogan also, "Kill Chand Kazi." Yeah? So during that time, right? So they had a discussion, okay. So in that discussion, Chand Kazi asks that, so in the Vedas itself, it is written that cow killing is available, is okay, right? So to which Lord Chaitanya actually responded the same thing, saying that the recommendations in the Vedas are not for killing, but for giving an elderly cow, right, a new life with perfect health. So that was the, and that was done with the power of Vedic mantras. Yeah. So in that yuga it was done, but for us, right? So it is all Harinam. So for Kali Yuga, it is only Harinam. Okay. So in this, right? So that was the Buddha's end advent, and then Buddha was born in Gaya, right? So in the Bihar province, and so his preachings were mostly in parts of Bihar and some portions of MP and Nepal. So in that province, right? So he taught, right? So yeah, so those were few of the things about Lord Buddha, yeah. And then we'll see through the deck, yeah. So and the whole idea was to actually bring people into the, say, to follow the regulative principle, right? This was one of the thing, right? See, he actually he uplifted the society from getting degenerated so that they can come one level up, right? And then the other things, right? So then Shankaracharya came in, and then he said that this is Shunyavadi, right? So Nirvana is what? Shunyavadi. There is nothing, right? So,
हाँ
uh,
खा रहे
okay,
हैं हाँ मुझे फोन के लिए सर
1 minute. Okay, so that was the thing, and then followed by Shankaracharya came in, wherein he said that no, there is something else also, right? He he brought the concept of soul, right? And then we got other acharyas like Ramanujacharya and then Madhvacharya, and wherein they said, right, no, so we have two things, one is soul and super soul, right? So that's the way the lineage came in, yeah. So yeah, now we'll read through the decks, yeah. So whatever is there, so there are a lot of evidences which show that Lord Buddha is the avatar, yeah. Mataji or Prabhuji, anyone would like to read? Okay. Milinda Mataji, you want to read this?
Sure, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one question.
Hmm,
When is Krishna? I missed the last class. I know there was Balramji that you covered.
yeah,
Was Krishna ji a eighth avatar along
yeah,
with Balramji, or
yeah. So it's mostly all of us know about Krishna, right? And then we have been reading Krishna books and all. So that's the reason we chose Balram, right? So majority of the devotees, they don't know much about Balramji, right? So it's that's the reason we actually covered Balramji in that incarnation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And one more question, Prabhuji. Why do we not consider like Krishna ji also had Mohini avatar and he had the horse avatar,
Hmm.
and so but why are they not a part of the Das avatar?
They were covered in the Samudra Manthan, right, Mataji? So in the Samudra Manthan, so that was Kurma avatar, right? So in that only all these things come in, Mataji. So in the
Oh,
Kurma avatar only, so we had all these things,
yeah,
Dhanvantari and Mohini Murti. We covered all those things in that class, Mataji.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay.
So, and there are, so the only, this is not confined to 10 Mataji. So there are others also. So, but, so the popular ones are these 10, and then say which we are covering. Yeah.
Okay,
There are a lot of other incarnations also. Yeah.
okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Jayadev Goswami, in his Gita Govinda, has sung as follows: The Lord has saved the Vedas in his form as a fish, and he has borne the whole universe on his back in the form of a tortoise. He has picked up this earthly planet from the water in the form of a boar. He has killed Hiranyakashipu in the form of Narsimha. He has cheated Maharaj Bali in the form of Vaman. He has annihilated all the dynasties of the Kshatriyas in the form of Parshuram. He has killed all the demons in the form of Lord Ram. He has accepted the great flaw in the form of Balram. He has annihilated all the atheistic person in the form of Kalki. And he has saved all the poor animals in the form of Lord Buddha. These
Hare
are some
Krishna.
of the Hare Krishna.
No, no, go ahead, continue, Mataji. Sorry.
These are some of the descriptions of the incarnations emanating from Krishna, and from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is understood that innumerable incarnations are always coming out from the body of Krishna, just like waves in the ocean. No one can even count how many waves there are, and similarly, no one can count how many incarnations are coming from the Lord's body. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So this is a summary of all the things. Yeah. Yeah. And then lots of Vedic scriptures has reference that the Lord Buddha is an incarnation of Lord Krishna. So these are the different scriptures, okay, so which actually gives us this information. Yeah. So this is nectar of devotion. Yeah. So Lord Buddha is accepted as an incarnation of Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but in the same Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that Lord Buddha appeared in order to bewilder the atheistic class of men. Yeah? So he actually came for them only. So he said that don't follow the Vedas, but he himself was the Lord. Yeah. Therefore, his philosophy is meant for bewildering the atheists and should not be accepted. So he is actually uh, telling in that way, but again, he's turning them towards the Lord only, right? So that's the whole idea. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the uh, in actually Srimad Bhagavatam, if you see, right? So this was actually spoken 5,000 years ago, right? So when Parikshit Maharaj was ending his pastimes, right? So during that time, Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken and it was predicted. So these avatars are in Kali Yuga, right? So it was predicted by then, saying that there will be Buddha avatar, which when there will be a lot of Kali's effect, and then people will be eating meat and all, right? So at that time, there will be an avatar which he'll come and then he'll save us, right? So, and similarly, the prediction is there for the next avatar which is going to come, which is at the end of this Kali Yuga, right? So still there are some, I think 4 lakh years. So after that, we are in the first 5,000 years. Yeah. So these are all predictions which are given in Bhagavatam. Yeah. So all these things are not say mere speculation or anything, right? It's so the Shastras give us the details with the parents' name, the location, and so everything has been told, right? And there are a lot of imposters also, right, to take the advantage. So in the current day and age, if you look in, right, so it's still Kalki avatar will be coming after 4 lakh years. Yeah. So now only there are so many imposters who say that I am the Kalki avatar. Yeah. So we should not fall prey into all those things. Yeah. So Srimad Bhagavatam clearly dictates us, saying that this is the place and these are the parents to whom they'll be born. Yeah. So it's all clearly mentioned. Even for Lord Buddha, it was also mentioned that he'll be born to Anjana, I think. Yeah. So in that way, right? And the province also, the Gaya province and everything was mentioned. So by then, so nobody knew. So, so the predictions are such accurate. Yeah. So these are nothing. These are all written by Vyasadeva itself, right? Who is none other than again an incarnation of the Lord, right? So how can the Lord be incorrect, right? So we'll have to follow blindly things in our scriptures. Yeah. So that's the importance of our scriptures. Science and technology, there is always maybe, could be. Yeah. When so no one can actually predict things in science and technology, right? So that is limited. And the other thing is, again, science and technology is being developed or say is being invented, whatever we are doing, right? It's all done by the humans, right? And then all the humans are imperfect, right? So they can fool us with some. So for the imperfect people, right, they can create something, but even their senses are imperfect, right? So that's the reason. So we'll have to follow the senses whose senses are perfect. Yeah. So the Lord's senses are fully perfect. So they don't have any defects. But in humans, we have defects. That's the reason we are in this material world, right? Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. The Lord even told us. Yeah? So it has been mentioned that in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, right, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theists. So that's the fear. Even we have the quote number also, right? Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.24. If you go, then this is the verse, and this has been spoken by Suta Goswami. Yeah. Yeah. So when the atheists, after being well versed in the Vedic scientific knowledge, annihilate inhabitants of different planets flying unseen in the sky on well built rockets prepared by the great scientist Maya, the Lord will bewilder their minds by dressing himself attractively as Buddha and will preach on sub religious principle. This is Upadharma. Yeah. So, this is what he'll come and teach about Upadharma. Yeah. So, to diminish the burden of the earth, the unborn Lord will take a birth in the Yadu dynasty and perform feats impossible even for the demigods. Propounding speculative philosophy, the Lord as Buddha will bewilder the unworthy performers of Vedic sacrifices. Yeah. And as Kalki, the Lord will kill all the low class men posing as rulers at the end of the age of Kali. So, this is all. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.4.12. So this is from Harivamsha, right? The future avatars Buddha will appear first. Then there will be a famous avatar called Kalki, also will be known as Vishnu Saya. Lord Vishnu will appear as a Brahmana in Samala village. Yeah? So even this reference is also there for the welfare of the universe, right? So this is the village name has been given, and then he'll be born to Vishnu Saya. Okay. So in the future. So then in the age the Lord was born in, so this is from Garuda Puran, yeah. The Lord was born in Kikatas as Buddha. He deluded the Asuras and flouted the Vedas. So this is another. So I think these are the names of incarnations of the Lord, and then here we have Lord Buddha. Yeah. So this is from Vishnu Puran. Yeah. So Parasar Muni said, yeah. So this is in this matter, Parasar Muni is nothing but father of Vyasadeva. Yeah. In this matter, exclaiming to them, known Buddhayadam, Buddhayadvam, and they replying it as it is known Buddhayati. These Daityas were induced by the arch deceiver to deviate from the religious deities and become Buddhas. By his repeated arguments and various urged persuasions, when they abandoned their own faith, they persuaded others to do the same, and they heresy spread and any deserted the practices enjoined by the Vedas and the Lord. So this is basically it's saying that so this is in Buddha they don't believe these things, yeah. And we know, right? We'll actually, so Lord Buddha was a prince, right? And then we know that his father was a king, and he actually protected Buddha, so the prince, right? So from going out of the palace, right? Because um, so I think one of the priest mentioned that the moment he sees any of the uh, painful things which happen to the living entities, right? So then at that moment, right, he'll be converted into a sannyasi. So his father was making all the attempts for the prince, right? So not to go out of the um, kingdom, or so not to go out of the palace itself. And then he used to build different palaces. Okay. And so all the time, right, the prince was very protected, and then so whatever he needed, right, everything was being brought to the palace. And he usually uh, used to move in between three palaces. So and the king actually try, and in the childhood, right, so nothing, so no information about any painful things or anything, right? So those were being told. So basically painful things are what? Old age, birth, disease, right? So these things were never discussed, or the king made sure that so the prince will never encounter these things, right? So even if there were anything, no news should go to him, right? So it was in that way he was brought up. And then one fine day, right, so when he grew up, and then he got married also. After that, when the time came that he had to become the king, right, he had to take his father's place, right? So at that time the king didn't have a choice, because the prince had to go, and then so look at, he has to go basically tour, right, so the kingdom, and then speak to people, and then only he'll understand, right, what are the pains, what are the problems before taking the throne, right? So for that also, in couple of outings, right, the king made sure that so whichever villages the prince enters, right, so there will be if there are any death cases or anything, right, so they should not come near when the prince is moving out, and all those things he made the arrangements. But finally, when he was doing, right, in second or third rounds, he could see an old man, right, and then who was actually hunched, and he asked the minister, so what is this? And then he said that this is old age. Similarly, he saw somewhere. So, and then he asked at that time, so does this happen to every living entity? And then he said, yes, these are inevitable. And then he went somewhere and then he saw death, right? So all these things made an impression, and then so he started meditating on them, how to actually get out of this. Yeah. So therein he took the sannyasi, right? He became a sannyasi, and then he left his family, and then he went into meditation and started preaching. Yeah. So that's the story of Buddha in a nutshell. Yeah. So now we'll actually look at the Kalki avatar. Yeah. So which is the next one. Yeah. So in Kalki avatar, right? So first we'll see. When this Kalki avatar will come in, right? So there are a lot of things. The Kali Yuga. Okay, so how the Kali Yuga will get changed. Yeah. So this is the thing. Mataji and Prabhuji, can someone read this? Lakshmi Prabhu, do you want to read this? I'll
Hare
just
Krishna.
open my door and come. 1 minute. You can carry on, Prabhu.
Sukadeva Goswami said, then, O king, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Mm.
So we know, right? So this is Sukadev Goswami who is preaching to Parikshit Maharaj, right? So this is the incident wherein Parikshit Maharaj was being cursed, right, by a Brahmana boy, saying that you would be killed in the next 7 days. Yeah. So he had only 7 days of time, and then he knew that the death is going to come in 7 days. Yeah. So we don't know so when our death will come. So it could be in our next 7 minutes also. Yeah. So but he had that, and then he utilized every minute, every second in drinking the nectar of the Lord. Yeah. So he even didn't eat or drink or sleep. Yeah. So it was all the nectar which was flowing through. Right. About Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and when Parikshit Maharaj was ruling, right? So Kali came in. Okay. So once the Lord went, right? Once Lord Krishna's pastimes were done, right? So when he completed his pastimes, right? By then Kali entered. Yeah. And then Parikshit Maharaj, he had an uh, say he had an good argument with uh, Parikshit Maharaj, yeah? And then Parikshit Maharaj, uh, until he was ruling, right? Though Kali was present in the in this universe, right? He couldn't do anything because Parikshit Maharaj was ruling the universe so nicely, yeah. So and then he gave the options also. So wherever you find the religious principles are not followed, right? You can enter there, but he couldn't enter because everyone. So all these four regs were being followed very religiously at that time. Yeah. So he couldn't do anything. But once Parikshit Maharaj pastimes were over, right? So Kali actually started. And then so he's becoming Kali is becoming much more stronger. Yeah. So there'll be a lot of things you'll be seeing, right? So as here it has been mentioned, right? So the worst conditions, right? As it's been mentioned, right? Shortened life and all those things, right? So mostly now, if you have seen, right, even the trend, right? If you see, the materialistic life has come, right? So for us, right, as if you look in, right, even the godlessness is also little bit, a little bit it has started, but yes, at least for the next 10,000, these 10,000 years are the golden age, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told. Okay. So whatever we'll have to do, right? So these are the golden age in Kali Yuga, right? So the first 10,000 years we'll have to utilize properly, and then we'll have to wrap up our things and then go back to Godhead. Yeah. So if we are not doing in this the next 5,000 years, right? So then, so we'll have to face the blunt of Kalki. Yeah. So there'll be a lot of degradation in the society, right? So even the four varnas which we have in, right? So it, so the standards will be coming very down. Yeah. So first thing is we'll have godlessness and the higher class, right? So wherein say we have the Dvijajanas, right, or the twice born, right? So basically the Brahmanas will become atheists. Yeah. And then say they'll forget the holy names, right? And so even they'll be only wearing the threads, right? So the Brahminical threads. So that's it. So there'll be no knowledge or nothing, right? So they'll be wearing it only on the bodily designations or so like the birthright, right? So for that only they'll wear it, but they'll not have any knowledge, or even they cannot read, and then they cannot understand about devotional service and all those things. Yeah. And so it will be more like so Prabhupada actually says that the bodily designations and then all these things would be considered as the decoration to the dead bodies. Yeah. So there is no point in decorating the dead bodies, right? So but the current um, situation is we are going towards that only, right? So and there will be no proper training also, right? And so animal births, so it will be more like animal life only, right? So the four things, right? So what animal does, like sleeping, mating, pairing, eating, so that's the Shudra life, right? So which, so more or less everyone will become Shudra, and then everyone will be working as right. So everyone will be working day and night. Yeah. So if you see, that has already, the effect has is slowly um, getting into our culture, right? So if you look, right, so majority of us are working, so we are working hard actually to earn money, right? So to get a better living standards, get a better house, right? So these things will become more prominent, so as we move on, right? So the demands for the material urge for the materialistic life will become more, and what will happen is because the higher class people are will become uncultured, right? So and so they'll try to exploit people. Yeah, even the governments, they'll actually take more taxes, right? So whatever you earn, right, it will be more on taxation, right? So these all things are predicted in the Bhagavatam. We'll see those verses also, right? So wherein it was predicted that in Kali Yuga, right, whatever we earn, it will be, as the Kali Yuga becomes more advent, right, we'll be actually paying more taxes to the government. Okay. So which we are doing currently. So you might be feeling that also, right? So these all things are there, and people will not have any religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, nothing. Even the duration of their life will get shorter, because with the kind of anxiety and all people are, right. So at least now we can say that the the actual age of Kali Yuga is 100 years. Okay, so one should live for 100 years in Kali Yuga. But if you see, right, now itself it has come to probably 70, 75, right? So max, if somebody is healthy, then he goes until 75, and exceptions they go until 80. Yeah? So if we can say now the average age has come down to 75. Yeah. So slowly it will degrade and it will go to 50. Yeah. So the average age will come, so wherein and living, or the human being can only live for 50 years. Yeah. So, and the bodily strength also, right? So bodily strength will be also decreasing. So if you look in, right, so in the before in the previous yugas, right, so they were very strong, right? So we have heard about Lord Rama, right? Take any of them, right? So they were having very their build, their strength, everything. It was very perfect, yeah. So but now if you look, right, so we don't have those bodily strengths, yeah, and then it is diminishing, and even we lose the memory, smriti. So that is weakening, right? Because unless there is a book, we don't remember anything, right? Even in the book also, if you don't refer for couple of times, we tend to forget it, right? So but if you look at in the previous ages, right, so there was no books. So whatever this Bhagavatam and all, right, until Vyasadev, right? So all these things came in disciplic succession, and then there was no need to write it. So Suta Goswami was present when Sukadev Goswami was instructing to Parikshit Maharaj, and then he came and then he narrated the same to the sages in the Naimisharanya, right? So he didn't put any paper, pen, notepad, no recordings, nothing. So that was the level of Smriti, the memory which they used to have. So now, I think, if you look at in the current age, right, people can't read a book at a stretch for 20 minutes or 10 minutes without getting deviating. Yeah. So they'll read it, but there'll be a distraction. Either so we'll look at the mobile or we'll speak to someone, right? So with one pointed attention, so nobody is able to read a book also, right? So that's the way things are, right? So because I think the way we are seeing things materially, right? So we are getting diverted, and so that is what it is going to happen. And even, right, the marriages, right? It will be there will be no ceremonies or any, so nothing as per the rituals, right? It will be like say more of agreements, right? So and in that way the marriages will happen, and then the men and women attraction and all those things, right? So they'll be judged mainly, the womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise, right? So what is that expertise in sex, and then the other thing is how he can attract others. Yeah, so that's from the external part, right? And even for the hair also, it has been mentioned that people will put more stress on the hair, and so it is all, it will become a lot of chaos, right? And even the temperature also, right? See, the weather also will become all extreme. Either it will be cold, either it will be more windy, snowy, right? So, and there will be a lot of quarrels, um, and actually for hunger, thirst, disease, all these things will be there. Even the trees, right? So the trees also will become draft trees, right? The size of the trees also will get reduced. So the other thing which has been mentioned is also that everyone will become a cheater basically, right? And yeah, so this was something which I wanted to cover. And then when all these things are getting advented, right? So when, say, everywhere there is a lot of exploitation, there is hunger, thirst, and the people, trees are not there, there are no proper um, say weather climates and all, right? So all these things happen due to the wrong things which will happen in the society, right? And then at that time, right, so one who actually manages the family, right, if at all one is able to manage the family, right, so then say he would be considered as a great person, yeah. And the other thing is, I forgot to tell you about the holy places. The holy places will become an hypocritic place. Yeah, so usually it will be only a place where people will come for merrymaking, right? So either to take a dip and then do some shopping or all those things, but nobody will come for the purpose, right? So the reason we go for a dham, the primary reason is to connect with the, or basically to associate with the devotees, right? So even that is, if you look in, right, even these days also, right? So usually if you go with the temple devotees, right, every evening there will be a program, right? And then there will be senior devotees who would be called up, like even if you go to Vrindavan and all, right, there will be a lot of Prabhupada disciples who will be coming and then giving a class, right? But at that time, right, so if you look in, the majority of them would be in Lohi Bazaar or somewhere, right? So they'll be shopping. So that's the thing. It will become more. So there will be, I think, in the advent, right, there will be no classes also. So everyone will come. They'll actually come for shopping and then for enjoying going to the dhams. Yeah. So that will become, the dhams will be used in that way. Yeah. And so we'll just go through the decks. I think I covered all these things. So, and at that time, right, what will happen is the Kalki avatar will come, yeah, and then so he'll be born into a Brahmana family in the Sambala village, right? So that's been predicted, yeah, and yeah, so he'll be coming on a horse called Devadatta, right, and a sword, okay, and then he'll actually kill. He'll kill by millions. Okay, all these thieves who, so like all the demonic people, right? He'll be killing. Okay, so yeah, that will happen, but at least not now. But that is the future. Yeah, in Kali Yuga, so wealth alone will be considered as the sign of man's good birth. Yeah, proper behavior and fine qualities, and laws and justice will be applied only on the basis of one power. So this is very advanced even these days, right? So higher class, middle class, lower class, the class is judged now with what? With money, right? So that's what it's been told in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah? So it has already been given, right? The qualities, right? So earlier, if you look in, right, the Brahmanas were not wealthy, but they were the higher class, right? So the Brahmanas never, so so they were only whatever charity the king used to give, right? So they used to live with it, right? So they never had big palaces or anything. So they were always living in small hermitages only, and then they were always meditating on the Lord. So that was the high class then, right? Now the high class would be that who has more opulent villa, right, or who has an independent, what do we say, island. Yeah? So those are considered to be high class now. Yeah. So though he might be doing, he might be getting all the money from an illegitimate source, but that doesn't matter. But in the society, he's treated as the high class. Yeah. And then, as we spoke, right, a Brahmana will only be known by wearing the thread, Brahmanical thread. Okay. Okay. Melinda Mataji, you can read this.
Yes, Prabhuji. Uh, Filling the belly will become the goal of life. He who can maintain a family will be regarded as an expert man. The principles of religion will be observed only for the sake of reputation. As the earth thus becomes crowded with a corrupt population, whoever among any of the social classes shows himself to be the strongest will gain political power. Losing their wives and properties to such avaricious and merciless rulers who will behave no better than ordinary thieves, the citizens will flee to the mountains and forest. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So this is what it will happen, yeah. This is all the future predictions which will happen, yeah. If you see, right, any man, so he who can maintain a family will be regarded as an expert man. So because that will not happen, right? Even now you see, right, the cities, right? So wherever these metropolitan cities are there, right? So the relationship, so now at least one portion of the segment, there are people wherein, say, they're in live in, right? So before marriage only they live in an apartment, right? So that's the culture which we are adopting, right? And then even if you see the number of liquor shops and the bars and all, right? So these days even the malls have become more of all bars and all these things only, right? So you'll not find shops anymore. So now only things have changed, right? So wherever you'll find the young people are there, right? So the whole mall is getting converted, right? In the mall, right? So the daily essentials are not there anymore. So those things are happening, yeah. So but yeah, so this will become more. Yeah. So we are only seeing the trailers, yeah. Yeah. I think Mataji has read. Kailash Mataji, do you want to read this, please? Mataji?
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare
Harassed
Krishna.
by famine and Hare Krishna. Harassed by famine and excessive taxes, people will resort to eating leaves, roots, flesh, wild honey, fruits, flowers, and seeds. Struck by drought, they will become completely ruined. The citizens will suffer greatly from cold, wind, heat, rain, and snow. They will be further tormented by quarrels, hunger, thirst, disease, and severe anxiety. The maximum duration of life for human beings in Kali Yuga will be 50 years. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is what is going to happen. Yeah? Either it will the weather conditions will be adverse. Yeah. And if you look, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, right? When Yudhishthir Maharaj was actually ruling, right? So there were no natural calamities, right? And then the nature used to cooperate with them, right? Even those are being described, right? So like the rivers were full, everywhere there was greenery, right? And the earth used to give so much of minerals. So when good things happen, right, the environment also supports us. But when we become a burden on the earth, then things will become different. Yeah. So Lakshmi Prabhu, can you read this, please?
Hare Krishna. By the time the age of Kali ends, the bodies of all creatures will be greatly reduced in size, and the religious principles of followers of
Varnashram.
Varnashrama will be ruined. The path of the Vedas will be completely forgotten in human society, and so called religion will be mostly atheistic. The kings will mostly be thieves. The occupation of men will be stealing, lying, needless violence. All the social classes will be reduced to the lowest level of Shudras. Cows will be like goats. Spiritual hermitages Spiritual hermitages will be no different from mundane houses.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So this is what is going to happen. Yeah. So even in our day and age also now we see, right? So there are lots of war happening, right? So these are all anxiety, right? So Iran, Iraq is going on, and then Russia, and so what was it? Russia and Syria, is it? So the
Ukraine.
Ukraine, yeah. So Russia and Ukraine. So we don't know. So the war is still continuing or so, right? So there was a lot of destruction and all these things are happening. So why? So these are all for actually anchoring power and all these things, right? So this is how it is going to happen. Yeah, it will be always restless society. Yeah. And then the occupation of men will be becoming only stealing, lying, needless violence, right? And then the Shudras will actually occupy the higher posts, right? And then who are not actually capable, right? So it's not on the divisions of the Varnashrama Dharma, right? So it is on the capabilities. So I'm talking of the Shudras on the capabilities. So the incapables, right? They'll become they'll be running the government. Yeah. So what will happen? So it will not work, right? So because they themselves don't know, right? So if there is an incapable CEO, if he tries to run a business, will it run? No, right? That is going what is going to happen, right? Because there will be no capability left because no one follows anything, right? There is no rules, no regulations, nothing to follow. So even the Kali Yuga is called mostly of Shudras only. So all of us are Shudras only, right? So only there are few fortunates say who get the mercy of the Guru and then say they get into this Bhakti Yoga, right? So rest all are what say we are doing the same thing, right? So for fulfilling our so every day there is anxiety to eat, right? And then where to live, what to do, right? All these things are always there for us. And then we work for someone, right? So that's Shudra, right? So family ties will extend no further than the immediate bonds of marriage. Yeah? So you'll forget about your parents, nothing. It's all between now. So this is advent now also, right? So it's partial though, but yeah. So this is going to become. So no one can actually live in one roof. Yeah? So in the family itself. So in the Western, it's always there, right? In the Western and the boys and girls, so they live at the age of 14 itself, right? So in India also, we'll see those things very soon. Most plants and herbs will be tiny, yeah? So they'll be dwarf, and all human beings will become like asses. So this is what. So yeah, at the same time, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear on the earth, acting with the power of pure spiritual goodness. He will rescue eternal religion. So this is how the Lord will come in. Yeah. So this is he'll come on Devadatta white horse and then with a sword, right? And then he'll kill millions. So Lord Vishnu, the supreme personality of Godhead, the spiritual master of all moving and non-moving living beings, and the supreme soul of all, takes birth to protect the principle of religion. Yeah? So this is Sarva Dharman Parityaja and to leave his saintly devotees from the reaction of material work. So when these demonic qualities are more, then the Lord will appear. So here it has been mentioned. Yeah? Thereafter, at the end of Kali Yuga, when there exists no topic of subject of God, right? So it's all godlessness. Even at the residence of so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the three higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred into the hands of ministers elected from the lower one, Shudra class. Yeah? So that is what is happening now also, but at least now there is some governance, but later on there will be nothing or less than them. And when nothing is known of techniques of sacrifice, even by word, at that time the Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser. Yeah? The symptom of the worst condition of material world at the last stage of this age, called Kali Yuga, are stated here in the sum and substance of such conditions is godlessness. Yeah. So this is what the Lord will appear. Yeah. Lord Kalki will appear in the home of the most eminent Brahmana of Sambala village, the great soul Vishnusya. Yeah. So there he'll be born. The Lord Kalki, the Lord of the universe will mount his swift horse Devadatta and sword in hand travel over the earth exhibiting his 8 mystic opulences and 8 special qualities of the Godhead, displaying his unequaled effulgence and riding with great speed. He will kill by the millions those thieves who have dared rust as kings. Yeah? So he'll annihilate all of them. This verse describes the thrilling pastimes of the Lord Kalki. So this is after all the impostor kings have been killed, the residents of the cities and towns will feel the breeze carrying the most sacred fragrance of sandalwood paste. Yeah. So after annihilating all these demonic um, rulers and people, right? So there will be a fragrance of the sandalwood paste and the decoration of Lord Vasudeva, and their minds will thereby become transcendental. So that is how he'll purify others. Yeah. So when Lord Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, appears in their hearts in his transcendental form of goodness, the remaining citizens will abundantly repopulate the earth. So whatever say the demons, they'll move out, and then so who's are a little bit religious, right? So they'll be there, and then they'll repopulate the earth. When the Supreme Lord has appeared on earth as Kalki, the maintainer of religion, Satya Yuga will begin, and human society will bring forth progeny in the mode of goodness. So then the mode of goodness starts. Satya Yuga again starts. Yeah. So, and then how do you identify an incarnation? These are a couple of things which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has quoted. So, as in other ages, an incarnation is accepted according to the directions of the Shastras. In this age of Kali, an incarnation of God should be accepted in this way. So, this is also, he's saying, if you should follow the Shastras. An actual incarnation of God never says, I am God or I am an incarnation of the God. Okay. So that's the thing, right? So that's the important thing which we should know, right? So any incarnation, right, will never say that I am the God. But if you see, all the imposters will say that I am the God, worship me. So that's how you should know. The great sage Vyasadeva, knowing all, has already recorded the characteristics of the avatars in the Shastras. So Vyasadeva himself, the Lord's incarnation, he has only given us Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So we need not do any research, do not spend time in that. Yeah. So spend time in reading Bhagavatam and then go in that direction. The Lord does not have a material body, yet he descends among human beings in his transcendental body as an incarnation. Therefore, it is very difficult for us to understand who is an incarnation. Okay. Because if the Lord comes in also, right? So unless he gives us the spiritual vision, right? So we will not know. Because Lord Krishna was there, right? So he was when he was there, Duryodhana was also could see and interact with the Lord, and Arjuna was also interacting with the Lord, but there was a difference, right? The one knew that he is the personality of Godhead, and the other thought that he's a magician. So that's how. So therefore, it is very difficult for us to understand who is an incarnation. Only by his extraordinary prowess and uncommon activities, which are impossible for embodied living entities, can one partially understand the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then that's all his mercy. Yeah? So even without that, we can't see. We will not know also. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Kalki, all glories to you. You appear like a comet and carry a terrifying sword for bringing about the annihilation of the wicked barbarian men at the end of the Kali Yuga. So that is how the things should be re-established with Kalki. Yeah? So that is what uh, I wanted to cover in today's class, Prabhujis and Matajis. Hope you all have updated your attendance, right? And anything, any reflections, anything you want to share, Prabhujis and Matajis?
Hare
So,
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
This what is the relevance of Garud Puran and Bhagavatam? Because Garud Puran is basically read on the 13th day of the ritual of the person's passing away.
No, these are all the references only. So those are not from Bhagavatam. So from the Shastras, so the ones which we saw in, right, Prabhu say the Buddha avatar, right? So it is been mentioned that it has been predicted in those things. That's it. So it's nothing to do with our Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Anything else, Matajis and Prabhujis? No. Okay. So
Prabhu, so Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So see, when this Kalki avatar comes, so the scriptures we have heard, if we get killed by God's hand, and so we will get liberation. But in Kalki avatar comes, right, he'll come and kill everyone, but they'll get free liberations.
Yeah. But you'll have to go through all these painful things. So we read so many things. At least last half an hour we actually spent on how the Kali Yuga is going to degrade, right? So why do we want to wait until then? Yeah. But yes, true that so those whoever will be killed, right? So, but by that time, until those janmas, you should be having an human form, yeah. So if we are taking so many janmas, then we would have been degraded to some ants or we don't know. So where would be? So even lower than that. So
So the Kalki avatar will kill only humans, no?
yes. Yeah, it's good that whosoever is getting killed by the Lord, right, they'll get liberated. But yes, we should not actually go until that. Yeah. So because there are a lot of painful things, right? So why do we want to again go into the wheel of birth, age old disease, right? We don't want to go into that. So let's try, hopefully, in this golden age itself, right? So we should make an attempt, possibly not in this janma. So because this janma we are sadhakas, maybe in the next janma we'll continue with this, and even there could be chances if among us also, right? If somebody picks up very well, and then if he does devotional service, and then you can go back to Godhead. We need not wait until then.
Yes, bro. Got it.
Prabhuji,
Pra-
sorry. Yeah, you go on. Okay,
So,
I'll ask. Prabhuji, this you mentioned about this. Every yoga had a asura. So, what is the name of the asura for in the age of Kali Yuga?
we all matters. There is no special asuras in Kali Yuga. So everything we ourselves have good and bad. So we have both the qualities.
Okay.
There is no special asura in this. So
Okay,
we ourselves are that matter.
okay, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, this killing by the Lord Kalki of the people with demonic qualities, isn't the same thing like Lord Parshuram did when he
Yes,
killed the kings,
yes.
whoever, it's
But
similar to that.
he killed only the Kshatriyas. But here
Yeah.
all. So Lord Parashuram actually killed only the Kshatriya families, right? So but here everyone would be degraded. So all the four ashramas would be degraded. So he'll kill all. So
But
who's a,
Prabhuji, you also mentioned that some people he will
yeah,
come to.
bias might be there. So the whosoever are, so always there are exceptions, right, Mataji? So might be, I don't know, so what would be the prediction by then, but there should be some good people, so with some divine qualities, they'll be there.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah, but it's a good insight, right, to know what is going to happen in Kali, and then say if we can so try to refrain in all those activities, and then we read Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, right, and then so, and try to be in the mode of goodness, right? So possibly one day, say, maybe so we'll get the mercy of the Lord, and then say, things will change in there. For us, right? So getting into the mode of goodness is something which we all should strive for. That's the thing.
Prabhuji, how will this avatar be known? I mean, how do we know that that he has taken the birth?
Now it will not. So it's been given, right? So the name, the location, and then those who are merciful, they'll only know. Even if we are at that moment, right? So even, so if we say that this is the end of Kali Yuga, right? And then if even the Lord has come in, right? So we'll not know unless we have the mercy, right? So it's been told, right? So he'll appear in the Brahmana family in this village to this, right? So only the associates will know.
But if the Kalki Avatar comes in human form, but they'll government will put him in jail, na Prabhu.
So that's what we are thinking. That's the materialistic vision which we know in, right? So every avatar, right? Because Lord doesn't come with any restriction, right? So even it's been told, right? So I'll give you the relevant example of Lord Buddha, right? So because now we had just discussed about Buddha, right? So when Lord Buddha thought that he decided that he'll become a sannyas and then he'll has to renounce his life, right? So before that, he actually wanted to see his son and wife. Okay. He came to the palace, but then again he felt that once if I see them, right, again I'll get attached. So he decided that he'll move on. So he actually rode. He went riding on a horse, right? And then when the horse moves, right, the hooves will make sound, right? But when Lord Buddha traveled, say, or he moved out from the kingdom, right? So none of the whose sound were being heard by anyone. No one knew. So that's the difference, Prabhu. So we'll think our conception is all what? All materialistic, right? So we see whatever we have seen, right? We feel that. So our eyes are not powerful to see in the dark itself, right? So live about what we can think of. If there is no light, we don't have any sense to look in, right? Even the ears which we have in, right? They are also limited to listen in a particular hertz, right? In some decibels only we can hear. The bat makes a noise in the night, so it travels using the speed using the sound itself, right? So can we hear that? No. So that's, we can't hear and see what the living entities are with us itself, right? So live about the pastimes of the Lord. Yeah. So that's the difference between Paramatma and Jivatma, right? So we are all conditioned. So he doesn't have those rules and regulations. For him, everything would be done. Hope Prabhu, you understood? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay. So thank you, Matajis and Prabhujis, for your association. We'll wind up the class for today. Vanchakalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.